the country, Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance, along with Michelle Smallman, Chris Canty, Evan Cohen. With you, you heard some of the highlights there from Friday night. The Mavs destroyed the Celtics. Game number 5 tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern here on ESPN Radio and on ABC. Wild weekend in sports. A Rory collapse, a Bryson comeback for the U.S. Open. The Oilers have a blowout win over the Panthers in a game in the Stanley Cup Finals to keep their hopes alive. Mookie Betts, unfortunately, injured with that fractured hand. He's going to be out for a while for the Dodgers. Good morning, everybody.
No, you left something out in there.
What did I leave out? WNBA, your team, the Liberty.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what, though?
We got bragging rights, and we hit the play of the night. Come on now. Don't leave that out.
Well, thank you to Angel Reese for stealing the WNBA storylines as her flagrant foul on Caitlin Clark certainly upstaged the Liberty win over the Aces. Morning, Smalls.
Good morning. Are you going to say anything, though, about the fact that your team lost?
I just said that.
No, I know, but...
What would you like me to say?
Didn't we have a bet on it?
I was going to say, was there a bet or something?
What were the stakes? We never
actually made the bet.
We never made the bet.
I realized that over the weekend. I'm like, we never actually paid that off. We talked about the idea of making the bet. We never actually just made it, though.
I feel like you didn't do that subconsciously because you knew your team would lose.
There you go.
That's possible.
Yeah.
That is possible.
Yeah, I'm just saying. That was a part of the
Not fun being a front runner when they're not in front.
They're not front running.
No.
They've lost 3 of their last 4.
But I'm back with the Mets. They've won 5 in a row. So now I'm back with the Mets because they're winning.
You're going to hang your hat on the Mets?
Well, I mean, they've won 5 in a row. 5 in a row.
They really have. They're looking great.
A lot better than my baseball team yesterday.
Well, but you know what?
I think the Red Sox just stole another base. Like
9 bases.
They just stole another base.
That was unbelievable. They probably just did.
It just happened.
I did see, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex Verdugo of the Yankees hit a home run over the weekend at Fenway against the Red Sox, his former team.
Yeah.
Cardinals fans really mad that the Boston fans didn't give him a standing ovation.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Right,
sure.
right
But,
at you. Right at you, Smalls.
I'm sure.
Right at you. All right, a 38-point win in game number 4, on Friday night. Just like we all saw it going down. The Mavs winning 122-84, which sets up, I guess, a big game tonight. It is the NBA Finals, so all of the games are big, obviously, in the NBA Finals. But now all of a sudden we get these thoughts in our head about, well, they're down 3-1. You steal 1 on the road. You go back home for 1, and then anybody could have it in a game 7.
So you're saying there's a chance.
But I don't think there's a chance.
I don't think there is either.
I think it ends tonight.
But he is saying that there is a chance.
Yeah.
Technically,
but I don't think any of us really feel like there's a chance for Dallas, do we?
No, I mean, this is the Jim Carrey Dumb and Dumber chance. It's not a real thing. It's not a real thing, unless it is. Unless the Boston Celtics play with their food. Unless they drop Game 5 at home tonight and we end up having a Game 6 in Dallas in the middle of this week. That is a worst-case scenario if you are the Boston Celtics. If we thought the weight of the world was on them coming into the postseason to win a championship, could you imagine what would happen after going up 3-0? You drop 2 more and you end up in a Game 6 in Dallas?
No.
No. That would be tragic. All of a sudden now the conversation becomes, is Boston going to choke this one away? And I guess fate would have that twist of irony, leaving that possibility out there, knowing what happened with the Boston Red Sox once upon a time, knowing what happened with the Boston Celtics last year, being able to force a Game 7 against the Miami Heat after going down 0-3 in that series. So I just think that would be absolutely fascinating. I don't anticipate that being the case, but I heard something from Jayson Tatum that I don't necessarily want to hear from one of my superstars over the weekend.
Well, let's hear that. Here is Jayson Tatum on the pressure of a Game 5 at home.
We would love to win tomorrow more than anything. But if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. We have more opportunities. So just like setting that table of like, don't surrender to that idea that we have to win tomorrow. We would love to, absolutely. But Game 5 is the biggest game of the season because it's the next game on the schedule.
The next game on the schedule, you're hoping it's the last game on the schedule. I'm a little surprised that Jayson Tatum and the Boston Celtics are thinking about the fact that if they're not able to close it out in Game 5, we have some other opportunities. I would think that they would want to go into the mentality like, this is the last game of our season. We're going to end this right here, right now.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. Kobe Bryant would never. For somebody that idolizes, emulates Kobe Bryant, that mentality is certainly a far cry from the Mamba mentality. And I'm surprised to hear that from one of your top 2 players and presumably a team leader. Jayson Tatum is a part of the cohort that sets the tone for what this Boston Celtics team is going to be and the mentality that they have when they take the court. And I'm surprised to hear his commentary not reflect more urgency to close out a team that we all left for dead at the end of last week in a Game 5 at home. It is surprising. It is shocking to me that Tatum actually verbalized that. Again, is he right? Yeah, he's right in what he says. I just don't like the way he framed Game 5 for a team that has to close out a desperate Dallas Mavericks squad.
How would you describe Kawhi Leonard's personality? I'm getting somewhere with this. How would you describe it?
Stoic.
There you go. That's a good word.
Okay.
That's a very, very apt word.
This guy is Kawhi Leonard more than he's LeBron James. We have to stop making him into something he's not.
I don't even understand what that means. He's Kawhi Leonard more
personality-wise, he has none. Jayson Tatum has no personality. Like, we're trying to make him into this face of the league and this, like, he's just kind of, if we lose Game 5, we'll come back in Game 6. That's like the way that Kawhi would speak. LeBron and, well, really Kobe, the guy that he idolizes, are way different than this. I just don't think that, like, we're waiting for something from him for this grandiose personality. That's not who he is. What he said, I agree with you. I mean,
he's factually correct.
Yeah.
Of course, but I don't want you looking at Game 6 when you have Game 5 at home, right? So when asked about Game 5, if I'm a superstar player like he is or he's supposed to be, we have one game. There are no other games. There weren't the 4 prior. There aren't the 3 after or 2 after, whatever it is. It's just this game.
Yeah.
This is the NBA Finals. It's going to sound cliche, but every game has to be a Game 7 for us or we have no chance of winning this series. I don't care that we're up 3-1. It's nothing going into tonight. That's it. That's it. I don't want to hear about, if we don't do it, we have more chances to do it. No, like, you should feel like you'll die if you don't win this game tonight.
Well, especially coming off a 38-point loss, which is the largest win when facing elimination in the finals all time. In a moment where you were hoping to close them out, they made history in beating you handily. I would just think that the sense of urgency would be even greater after you experience a loss like that, knowing that you had them on the ropes.
So are we going to the place where we actually are starting to visualize this, a 3-0 comeback, or no?
No, I'm
Definitely
not, but I would love to see it. Can I raise my hand as people that would love to see it? Well, I would absolutely love to see it. If this thing gets back to Dallas in a Game 6, how fascinating would it be? I mean, just talking about the prospects of Luka Doncic and the Mavs being able to make NBA history, being the first team to come back from down 0-3, and the potential for the Boston Celtics to choke it away in a consequential offseason where they got to make decisions on what's going to happen with Derek Wright, Jayson Tatum, so on and so forth. Like, I would absolutely be fascinated to see that happen. I don't anticipate that being the case for everything that Smalls says. If you're Joe Mazzulla, you can't take Friday's loss laying down. You can't sit there and say you're happy about where your team is at after you got embarrassed. It was 61-35 at halftime.
Oof.
Game was over. Like, I mean, they scored 14 points in the second quarter. It was non-competitive. So for them to have that kind of outing, for them to show so poorly with an opportunity to close the Mavs out and win a championship, for the goggles and the champagne to be on deck at American Airlines Center and for them to lay an egg in the way that they did, I would expect that they would respond in a lot more energy, a lot more emotion than they had in Game 4. It felt very much so like their mission, their mentality was to go down to Dallas and go up 3-0. And then would they like to win Game 4? Sure, but it wasn't necessary. It wasn't mandatory.
But now he's saying that Game 5 is not necessary.
And
mandatory.
But that's my problem.
How are all these games not mandatory?
But that's my problem. That mentality, like to let your opponent off the mat after you've got them pinned down, that's a dangerous game to play at this stage in the postseason, and that's why I just don't like what I heard from Tatum. You have to have that killer instinct. And for years on end, we were saying that is one of the biggest things that this tandem in Boston didn't have,
right?
That killer instinct. And we felt like Game 3 was the maturation, the evolution of Tatum and Brown, their grow-up moment. Jaylen Brown being heard in the huddle by our very own George Sedano said, this is where we graduate. Mm-hmm.
You haven't graduated yet. You don't want to get left back.
Yeah, it feels like they revoked the diploma. Like if they graduated, it's like we rescinded the diploma. Like we're going to take that back.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like. So, this is going to tell us a lot about the maturity of the Boston Celtics. if what we've seen from Luka Doncic, his response in Game 4 from Game 3
Yes.
was a show of maturity, a show of accountability, we need to see that same show of maturity and accountability from the Boston Celtics, and specifically Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Are we saying, because this may be the only time we could actually entertain this hypothetical, because after tonight, it very likely will be over, right? But just for the sake of conversation, would we say this would be the greatest choke